Battery keys, which this is this placement right here, it was one of 6 that was at Fort Williams. This was the last one that was completed, and what they had here was, this is where they deployed their mines for the harbor defense. They had 2 3-inch guns that were mounted on the top here, one on that side and one on that side, and those were basically used for if there was a small fast-moving boat that was coming in that wouldn't have, hit a mine or something along those lines. So it was a defensive gun, particularly for the boats that were coming in, and also in support of the mine itself. They actually took these guns out after World War I. Later on, a couple of the batteries that were along the way were still in use up until World War II, but half of them were decommissioned up until World War II, until 1943, when basically all of the defensive purposes for Fort Williams were discontinued, and it was really used as a headquarters more than anything else. This is Battery Blair. This is really the placement of the larger gun installations of the 6 that was at Fort Williams. So they would have had 2 12-inch guns, which could have fired approximately 10 miles into the ocean to hit a larger ship, whatever that might be, or whatever they needed to defend against. They kept these gun placements in until about halfway through World War II, and then and actually at that point is when they kind of started decommissioning the rest of the batteries. Of the 6 by World War II, there were only a couple that were left. Battery keys was still part and parcel of the property. They fired these guns, the only time that they did in theory was December 8th, so the day after Pearl Harbor in 1941, when they shot both of the guns off to make sure that they were ready in case they needed them for defensive purposes. And there were some garages that were actually built right in the vicinity, and they broke windows when they actually shot them off. But other than that, there was no damage to the head, which is only right over there anyways. So it was kind of a very large, impressive guns. They were disappearing guns, so you can see that they actually could have been raised and lowered. They're behind that concrete wall. And at this point, my understanding is that the Friends of the Fort Williams Park is looking into having potentially part of the battery restored, so it would look more like it did back during World War I and World War II era times.